Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to another episode of Care Across Cultures with me, your host Mirvan Hussain. You're listening to us on Link FM 96.7. We're available on online and on DAB. I hope you've had a good weekend. Today we are going to be talking about aging, Barapa, and why it matters to all of us. Because don't we start to age from the day that we're born? In England, where you live still affects how well you age. Nearly 1 million people over 65 say they often feel lonely. Now, lonely is different to isolation. And loneliness is not just about feelings. It's linked to poorer health and becoming less independent. Many people miss out on support because services don't always feel easy to access, welcoming, or connected to real life. That's why early connection, trust, and community support can make such a difference as we get older. To explore this, I'm joined by Iain Cloke from Age UK Rotherham, my guest for today. Now, Iain is a great guy in many ways. He's a personal friend. We've been working together for about a couple of years now. Iain leads on Engage, which is a programme working with local communities to help older people to stay connected, be supported, and be involved before things reach crisis point. As always, this is your programme. If you have a question or want to join the conversation, you can call us on 0114 261 8181, or you can text us on WhatsApp 07939 849 339. Before we start, here's a disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this programme belong to me and my guests and are not necessarily those of Link FM or of the organisations that we represent. This is Care Across Cultures. Welcome. Iain.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So it's lovely to be here again.
Thank you so much. It's been a while, hasn't it, Iain? How long ago was it?
Well, it was just after Ramadan, wasn't
After Ramadan, yes, March.
We came on and talked about the Ramadan experience, which was fabulous.
And thank you so much for taking some time out of a busy day to come and talk to us again. So, Iain, we're going to start straight away. For people who are listening, who may not know, or may not even heard of Age UK, the national organisation, and Age UK Rotherham specifically, and the Engage programme. Can you explain what all of that is in simple terms, please?
I'll do my best. As you point out, I work for Age UK Rotherham, which is an independent local charity. Our trustees are local older people. We listen to local older people to talk to us about what matters most to them. And about 10 years ago, I started out on a journey that I began to call Engage Rotherham. So Engage with a capital A in the middle of it. Yeah. Kind of encapsulating conversations about later life and kind of discerning what services are needed. And a few years after that, When we kind of got some clarity about what older people were saying to us, the trustees of our charity adopted those things that matter most as our strategic objectives.
Mm-hmm.
So if I talk about Engage Rotherham, I'm really talking about the heart of Age UK Rotherham and what we're there for and what we're trying to achieve.
Thank you. Tell me a little bit more about some of those sort of values that you talked about. Maybe one or two.
Okay, so there are 5.
Okay.
Right? So
we have time, so let's talk about the 5.
Years of listening to local older people in lots of different ways. We've arrived at a set of 5 things that matter most to older people in Rotherham. And I say in Rotherham, their value is that they've come out of the mouths of older people in Rotherham.
That's okay.
But they're not kind of unique things you won't find elsewhere. So they resonate with a lot of strategies. So the 5 things are feeling and being safe, feeling less lonely, being as healthy as I can for as long as I can, staying connected with my community, and then right at the heart of all of it, being independent, having choice and control over the things that matter to me for as long as I possibly can. And so that is the pattern running through the rock,
okay,
all the way through those 5 things, but particularly the independence. That always comes out, or nearly always comes out, as the most important of the 5.
Well, I suppose it's, I mean, I do sort of, it resonates with me because independence, especially, you know, as you get older and you start slowing down, don't you?
Yeah.
Lots of things happen. You may have lost friends, may have lost family. There may be illnesses. There may be other challenges. And then independence is big, isn't it? Yeah. So I just want to ask now, what's going on in Rotherham at the moment that makes this work with older people so important?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of the challenges older people talk to me. But before I do that, and I always try to do this, I want to say older people in our communities are a huge asset. They bring a lot of life experience, resilience. They've found solutions to the challenges in their lives. They've got connections in communities. Their families are supported by them, and those community bonds, they're often community leaders. So when I talk about the challenges of later life, I don't want people to go away with that kind of very negative idea that getting old is a terrible thing. There are challenges in later life that people talk to us about, but actually we mustn't forget that these are our parents, our grandparents, our neighbours. They love us and we love them, and they add a lot to our lives.
Of course they do. It reminds me of everything I do now is because I stand on the shoulder of giants.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Having said all that, we have an ageing population, and Rotherham has an ageing population that is slightly older than the national average, with roughly 20% of residents over 65. And that's a figure that's going to increase to 25% in the next 10 years.
Okay.
So it's a significant proportion of our population. And the 75 plus demographic, which I guess is a way of saying those who are older, frailer, need a bit more support, is rising quite rapidly, putting increasing pressure on health services, driving demand for specialised housing, and transport services and social care, particularly when we include things like dementia as part of it. That's kind of one of the things older people worry about in later life. That's not inevitable.
I just wanted to come in because you mentioned dementia, and one of the other sort of worrying statistics for me working for Rotherham Hospice and in hospice care is that 1 in 2 of us will have a cancer diagnosis at some point in our lives.
Yeah.
And although that cancer is not just adults, you know, there are children as well, but the older population or the aging population, the ones that you're talking about, potentially will have multiple comorbidities, won't they?
Yes, absolutely.
So they may have, you know, cancer as well and life-limiting illnesses as well. So that adds more challenges.
I like to remember though that none of the things that might happen will definitely happen.
That's very true.
We mustn't kind of tell people that
Yeah.
it's going to be terrible when you get old. You're going to end up not remembering anything and having cancer and being in and out of hospital. Some people will, and other people will live a long, relatively healthy life. We are all generally living a bit longer than people used to in this country, but because of the challenges of aging and the changes in the system that are kind of have not yet happened, we often age poorly. We hit a point where we kind of are ill more. We can't go out more. We lose our agency.
Yeah,
in this.
That's a key difference. Yes, we are aging because we will, and we are living longer, but it's how.
Yes.
And how that impacts us.
And it's also true to say that most of the things that affect us in later life can affect us before that.
Of course.
So the numbers of people affected by chronic illness and chronic pain can be of all ages, but they will be experienced disproportionately as you age, and I'd say disproportionately depending on where you are and who you are and what kind of background you've got or ethnicity.
Yes.
All of these things affect what later life will look like. We all want to live longer, better, but people experience chronic ill health in later life, both physical and mental. So an example of that is people tend to become less mobile as they get older. Some of that might be because of long-term health conditions. Some of it will be a natural slowing down process. But we know that moving more is a key thing for improving our physical and mental health.
Of course.
So, that's something to be encouraged. People are struggling at the moment with the cost of living crisis.
Yes.
And that it's not uniquely true for older people, and there are safeguards in place for older people's incomes that help to set that on one side. But when I'm talking about poverty, it's always important to listen to the idea that our older people are part of wider families. So if the working age family is struggling, the older person will be involved in sharing their resilience and their solutions and support for those younger people, which is why in communities we do see older people turning up at things like food banks and support services like that. That may not necessarily be about their own income, but about their family situation or the community they're a part of. And I don't want to create a picture that says older people are uniquely challenged, but they do face different challenges as well.
Yeah.
A key thing is the underfunding of social care. Say independence is a key aspiration for most people that I speak to. And the social care market, the social care services haven't increased to the degree that the population has increased. And I think Age UK nationally do a lot of campaigning to keep social care high on the agenda. and of course that's interlinked with health services.
Of course it is.
Because if we can't care for people in communities, they will end up in settings that they have less choice and control about and are less suitable for living in. Nobody wants to be stuck on a hospital ward longer than they need to.
No.
We also hear about kind of economic abuse, domestic
Yes.
abuse of older people. That's part of the kind of landscape that you're particularly aware of if you work in the sector, and we have an information and advice service that's kind of there for all the older people in Rotherham and their carers, families, the professionals working for them. So we get involved in some of these situations. Often it's people who are becoming more vulnerable. And unfortunately, it's often families or trusted people who have the opportunity to cross a line whereby they're taking personal advantage of something like a power of attorney, or helping with a bank account and so on. And we've seen some cases of that. And I think because the population's going up, it's not going to go away. There are going to be more of these types of things, and people have got to have somewhere to go with it.
Definitely.
And we, as a local Age UK, we're a source of independent advice, but we work closely with other partners and the local authority and public health on all of these issues, trying to make sure it joins up, that people don't fall through the gaps. And we train our volunteers to be able to recognise those kinds of settings and things that older people are vulnerable to, and talk to us when they see it, so that we can get the help that's needed.
And it's a much wider thing. When you talked about partnerships, and it's a much wider than just the volunteers and everybody else, isn't it? Because with all the best will in the world, an organisation, and you are a small organisation, you're not.
We are, we're just a small local charity.
You're just a small local charity. So it's, if you don't have those partnership links and more people know about it, they can raise that. And what's the referral process like for sending someone to you? Is it just sort of straightforward?
So generally, phone our number. Phone me if you know me.
Yes.
Email me. That's you being referred. You know,
that's it.
It's kind of, we do have referral pathways with other organisations where we've got kind of specific funding around something like social prescribing. So some people find us through Voluntary Action Rotherham or their GP or other organisations, but I'd say the majority of people who come to us find us themselves. We've got a well-known telephone number. 01709 835 214. It's not changed for years.
There we go.
So, you know, that's a real asset. People can contact us through our website or by emailing us. Trying to make it just really easy for people to find us. It's a constant challenge. I come across people all the time who haven't got the foggiest idea of what we do.
Yes. But I mean, this is not just, you know, Age UK Rotherham. This is lots of smaller charities. There is so much work out there. There are so many people out there. But I do believe that, you know, having a simple, straightforward referral pathway, a phone call, is the best.
No, I know.
So, and you can Google you, can't we?
Nobody has to fill a form in to get my help.
That's a good one. And I'm thinking about some of the challenges that some sort of, you know, cohorts of the community may have, whether that's a language challenge, whether that's a linguistic challenge, whether that's, you know, socioeconomic or whatever. So it's so great that, you know, you've got a very simple phone me and we will get in touch.
Yeah, and it's about understanding what the people who need your help, what do they use to communicate with? Well, most older people know what a telephone is and how that works, and picking up a phone and phoning a number is something most people can do. downloading a form, filling it in and sending it back isn't necessarily in the comfort zone of a lot of people that need our help.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go there. There are always kind of barriers put in place when you refer between organisations
Yes.
to do with information sharing and things. For us, our client, the person we care about, is the older person that's on the end of the phone or that we're supporting. So anything we do is done with their consent.
Of course.
So providing we have consent, they will then be able to share with us everything they want about their life.
So if you've just joined us, you are listening to Care Across Cultures with me, Medban Hussain, your host. I'm speaking to Iain Cloke from Age UK Rotherham. One of the things that really sticks out is that, from what Iain has just been talking about, is that how do you get in touch with Rotherham, Age UK Rotherham? Simple. Phone them. No phones, no nothing, just phone them. It can't get any easier than that. Or can people turn up at your doors? At the office?
We discourage them from doing that.
Oh, you discourage them, okay.
So it's a change made over the last 10, 15 years was realising that our biggest strength was our ability to go and meet people where they are, where they're comfortable. And that the most efficient way of running a staff team is through appointments. We used to have a drop-in in the town centre, and a number of years ago we realised it was too expensive. Yeah. It was costing us a lot, and we reverted. So our offices are offices for staff. Okay. There's not usually huge numbers of staff there these days because we've all learnt to work from home or work remotely, and the vast majority of our staff, their job is to go to older people. All our social activities are run in communities where people have asked us to do them. Nobody has to travel to our offices in Eastwood to see us. We will always come to you.
Well, that's even better, isn't it? That's even better. So, for you personally now,
okay,
we've got a few minutes before we go into a break. For you personally, what does a good day look like at work for you?
Okay. So I have a really varied role. My job title includes the words operations manager, projects and partnerships, which reflects that I've probably grown away from the front line in the time that I've been there. But for me, still, a good day is a day sat with older people, listening, hearing them talk about their lives, their challenges and the things that work. I'm often amazed at how resilient people are, or if not how resilient individuals are, but when you put people together to have a conversation about something, they'll naturally share solutions and find their way through it. And I think that's kind of my favourite thing to do. Yeah,
it's really about understanding, isn't it? You know, having that sort of one-to-one and listening. That's what we're talking about, isn't it?
I think so, and that's what we train our staff to do.
Right.
So in my role a good day is a good day supporting expert staff to be really good at what they do and know that they are good at it, and support them, encourage them, build them up. Make sure they're well supported and trained.
And I suppose that's what a leader should do.
Well, I think so.
I think so. I agree with you. There are other things that we also do, don't we? I mean, this Saturday,
yes,
we were both at Rotherham Crematorium, weren't we?
Yeah, that's a lovely day.
Part of Dying Matters Week, and that was a good day.
It was a great day.
It was a good day. We met lots
but we had over 250 people come to that.
We did, yeah.
And I probably spoke to most of them.
I'm sure you did. I spoke to less, but we also enjoyed the yoga.
Yes, there's a very funny picture on Facebook with us both in a pose. You've got to make you smile.
It's a thing. These are some of the good things that happen during work.
It's also model the best behaviour. So I'm forever encouraging people to move more.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
you know, I should be the one up there prepared to lose my dignity and kind of...
I think you were very dignified.
I think we all were.
I think you were very dignified. We are coming up to a short break now. You're listening to Care Across Cultures with me, your host, Mirban Hussain. I've been speaking to the wonderful Iain Cloke from Age UK Rotherham. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to Care Across Cultures with me, your host, Mirban Hussain. You are listening to us on Link FM 96.7. I've been talking to the wonderful Iain Cloke from Age UK Rotherham. We've been talking about ageing, people getting older, and some of the challenges that they face. And what we've talked about is that these are not sort of unique challenges to that particular age group, but, you know, very similar challenges. But we've been talking about how Age UK Rotherham supports people in various ways. The one thing that I do want to share is that Age UK Rotherham is not the only organisation. There will be an Age UK Sheffield, Doncaster, Barnsley, Newcastle, Stoke-on-Trent. So if you do not live in Rotherham, there will be an Age UK of your own town wherever you are. And whatever we're talking about and all the support service that we have here may not be exactly the same, but they will be of a similar nature. And all you have to do, as Iain said earlier, is find their number, pick up the phone and have a chat. Because there is support out there. And there are people like Iain and his team in every town, every city, close to you, where you can get that support. And it may be that it's not just, you may not be the older person. It may be a family member. It may be a friend. Maybe a neighbour. All you have to do is pick up a phone and reach out for help. Welcome back, Iain. I want to, because this is Care Across Cultures, how do things like culture, faith, language and family affect how people are experience ageing? What have you come across?
Okay, this is massive.
Okay, it is.
Whichever part of the community you're from.
Yeah.
So not only is our population ageing, more and more older people, it is also demonstrably becoming more unequal, and that inequality is felt by some people more than others, and we recognise that in Rotherham, and we're constantly trying to reach out and find ways of connecting into the communities that can benefit most from the help that we can offer them.
Okay.
Generally speaking, what we've found reflecting on our last, 10 or 15 years is that the proportion of older people from ethnic minority communities proportionately is a bit less than we would like and that we would expect. So there are barriers in the way for some of those communities, and we've kind of intentionally tried to remove some of them by getting to know them better. So what this mostly looks like is us working in partnership with the organisations that are run by older people from ethnic minority communities. We often are at the Unity Centre in Rotherham, connecting up with the various groups. I think when I think about the ageing population in Rotherham, the South Asian community is the group that has got the most. So we'll work with Tastaby and the Youth Centre and go to Masborough and meet people in their own settings. Um, I don't always have dedicated funding for doing that kind of intercultural work, so it's about trying to work it into what's normal for all of our services, actually. And where I have opportunities to connect, for example, our wellbeing project into communities that I know need support with improving well-being of all sorts, they will often turn up at the groups. We're a trusted partner. We did a piece of research just coming out of lockdown, kind of 2021, something like that, where what we did was we had an opportunity to employ a consultant to do some work on, are the things that we're providing to help people in this phase of recovery, which is just a kind of a way of saying normal life, do the same things work with these communities as they work with others? And what we generally found was, yes, they did, because most of our services are tailored around personalised conversations with individuals and with groups of people about what matters most, and finding ways of going to them, doing it where they are, involving their communities in accessible premises that they trust, and that providing we can make the connection and work in that kind of way, people from all communities can benefit from the kind of support that we offer in the way that we offer it. There are always differences.
Of course.
There are differences in how people talk about that in Wath than in Aston.
Of course there are.
It's not just an intercultural thing, it's a personalisation and community-based problem. I believe in communities and the power of communities. So connecting communities is right at the heart of what I want to see happening in Rotherham.
And that's part of the whole partnership, which is in your title, isn't it?
Yeah.
Partnerships. And I've always found that we can try and do this by ourselves as an organisation.
Yeah.
And then we talked about resources, didn't we?
We did.
Which we're all struggling about. But the way forward, I always think, is how do we, build trusting partnerships with organisations that already have the trust of those people?
Yes,
and
definitely.
then that's how we can do more.
I think it's an illusion to think we can do this ourselves.
Yeah.
You pitch me a question about what do you learn by working in partnership that you couldn't have just done yourself without talking or involving anybody else? It's an interesting question, and I reflected on it, and I reflected that in Rotherham, Age UK Rotherham is a specialist leading organisation on ageing issues, and for me the question is, why wouldn't I work in partnership? Because I can't. We maybe help 3,000-4,000 people in some way each year, which is great.
Which is great.
But there are 65,000 people over 65. Yeah. They've all got families. They've got carers. They've got people in their lives that can also get the help. So there's a massive kind of community out there who aren't feasibly all going to get a support from me. But I can reach them. I can reach them if I work in partnership with others. We work and connect lots with voluntary sector organisations, with faith organisations, and faith is often a very helpful lens for people to reflect about well-being and what they need in their lives in order to flourish and be well. But we also connect in with the local council and public sector services, with the NHS, with GPs, with public health and the issues that they address, which are systemic issues generally, kind of with a very broad lens on being able to see the wider things that affect people's health So why wouldn't I?
Yes.
But also, so what I ended up wanting to say was, I think in the voluntary sector, we kind of put ourselves in a one down kind of position. And I think the real question is, for the public sector, what is it you wouldn't be able to achieve if you never spoke to the voluntary sector? I think they get a lot more out of it in a way because of the lens and the connections and the expertise we bring to it. And that's not arrogance. That's just reality.
That's just the truth.
They can't be everywhere. We're closer to the ground. We're daily having conversations with older people. We don't know everything. We don't have all the solutions. But
we have a lot.
But as a community development person, I believe when you put the brains together from different perspectives, that's where you really find solutions. Not by locking yourself in a room and being clever.
I agree with you totally. I have a community engagement background, and when we talk about the VCSE sector and what you've said, I agree with you 100%. Okay, but that is a program on its own. Maybe we could, maybe we could arrange that, and let's come back and talk about that again. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about assumptions.
Okay.
Assumptions in general, about assumptions that we make about older people as individuals, assumptions that we make about older people as service providers, and how these may or not be reflected in real life. So what do you tell me a little bit more about that?
Okay, so bluntly, I think what we're talking about is ageism.
Yes.
It's prejudice. It's making assumptions that don't need to be made, that aren't based on reality. And you can see it in things like physical and mental frailty. There seems to be an assumption that aging is synonymous with decline. With frailty, becoming senile, a total loss of independence. Whereas the reality is there is no typical older person. Diversity in old age is massive, and many maintain high levels of health, activity and independence very late into their lives. So it's wrong to make the assumption that all of those failing physical and mental capacity are definitely going to happen. It's an ageism where professionals become kind of overprotective and treat older adults as children, not as equals. And of course, what that does is it reduces people's autonomy. It steals their independence, and it takes their dignity to be treated as lesser. And that is inevitable. I'm not saying these things can't be found, but it's actually how we engage with people and see them first as human beings, as assets, as people who are capable of making choices and taking control in their lives for as long as they possibly can. And obviously some will get to a point where that capacity is eroded. But actually, if you start off by talking with a 65-year-old as if they are about to fall off the edge of a cliff, that it's kind of a self-fulfilling prediction. I talk about digital and technological competence.
Yes. People
come to me all the time about digital exclusion and older people struggling. And the assumption is that older adults are somehow uniquely technophobic, incapable of learning new technologies, unwilling to adopt digital tools, but they've often had 60, 70, 80 years of journeying with change. So I'd say recognise the resilience and capacity in that. While digital does divide, particularly those at the kind of over 75, let's say, and increasingly those who are in poverty because of the cost of it. Many older adults that I know use technology all the time. They may not use it necessarily in the same ways or as much as I do, but fear of confirming those negative stereotypes, it becomes self-fulfilling. It leads to kind of a digital by default kind of attitude in public services or even in private sector. The assumption that it's okay to do things by digital as the main channel and make it like being unable or unwilling to use that channel means you don't deserve a service. You shouldn't be accessing the best deals, the income and eligibility to benefits that is there.
It almost sounds like these are. I don't think it's intentionally designed, to discriminate systems.
No.
But I think they're unintentionally designed for a standard person, aren't they?
I can see how it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, in order to exist in a complex world, you kind of organise and make assumptions about stuff in order to make decisions.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm keen to see is that service providers, whoever they are, see that that can have an impact in excluding some older people or making things worse for some older people.
Or maybe whoever's designing these, needs to carry out an equality impact assessment. Whether they do or don't, I don't know.
There's a suggestion.
Yes, it's a suggestion that's been going around for many decades now, but that is something that, and I think the key question or the key response to that would be that let's not look at who we are designing for, but let's look at who may be disadvantaged by what we do.
Yeah.
And it's that changing assumptions again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who are we designing for?
And yes. But I also think there is a lot of diversity. There isn't a homogenous older person. No. People come to me and say, what do older people think about? And I can talk about the 5 things that they've told me. Mm. But mostly what I say is, well, I'll tell you what, if you really want to know what they think, go and find one and ask them. Yeah. Don't think you can come to me and suddenly know about all what matters to all of the older people in Rotherham. I would never claim that.
No. And there's enough of us around.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
There are 67,000 older people in Rotherham. That most of those would gladly talk to you about the things in their lives.
And I think that's part of the loneliness as well, isn't it? Because people don't go and ask.
It is.
Have you ever stopped and talked to? I mean, this is something for my listeners. Have you ever stopped and spoken to someone who's at the bus stop, or sitting in a in a hospital waiting room, or somewhere else, or at the Rotherham Council offices, or somewhere? Have you ever sort of just said hello to someone who is visibly older? Have you made a connection? Have you spoke to him? You've
got to make space for it,
You have
I mean, particularly if you're a professional.
Yeah.
You ask me what makes a good day for me. Well, I think intentionally I've got to find the days where I hang out with a group of older people or walk down a high street and have conversations with people.
Yes.
I went out with the council in Kiverton Park just before Christmas, handing out a resource with lots of information about caring for your mental health. And we spent a day walking up and down the high street, went into all the businesses, had conversations with the people there, spoke with individuals about things that were coming up in their lives that mattered to them. And it was wonderful. And it was really good to be doing it with partners as well.
Exactly. So now that you mentioned partners, okay, Engage is all about working in partnership, isn't it?
It is.
Based on your experience, what makes a partnership work in practice, not just on paper?
I think what you're always looking for is trust, which means it's a It's not a one-off thing. It's an ongoing relationship, and I think what my role emerged out of a desire to work more in partnership. But the organisation would struggle to do it if it didn't have a person like me, whose part of my job is intentionally to seek out the people that we need conversations with, whether that's older people or other professionals or other voluntary sector groups, in order that we can work together to find solutions and provide support. As an organisation, it needs to be intentional. And I would say it's kind of not just me. I try and make sure that all of our staff know that they're the front face, the interface for our organisation. Our information and advice services does lots of referring and signposting to other organisations and other people who can provide help. Our wellbeing service doesn't think it on its own can change the well-being of older people in Rotherham. It works through lots and lots of community connections and other voluntary organisations, groups where we've got older people leading support for older people in the places that matter to them. We've got 10 activity engage groups, I call them, but they're just simple social activity groups that kind of have a general benefit to older people around physical, mental and social well-being. And we found that the sustainable way to do that was to find older people to work with us, to provide some support for setting it up, go and do it in the places that they need it and want it, use those people as connections in their community so that their neighbours and friends and others can get involved in that activity. So it's not a solitary activity. You don't solve it by having a partnerships person. You solve it by everyone knowing that it's about people and communities and time and trust, and connecting people with the help that they need. Because what they emphasise always is that we want independence.
Yes.
So that's choice and control. That means what we're supporting them to do is to live their lives, not to give us their lives so we can own their lives in some way.
Thank you so much, Iain. We're going to have to leave it at that because we are running out of time. I think you need to come back again because, as you said earlier, that this needs 3 hours, doesn't it? So we don't have 3 hours today.
I can talk for longer than that.
But you'll be welcome back, and we'll arrange something.
Good.
So this is Care Across Culture with me, your host Mehrbaan Hussain. I've been talking to the wonderful Iain Cloke from Age UK Rotherham. Some wonderful stuff that we've talked about, and I hope it's been valuable to you. Next week we will have another programme with another guest. Before we go, Iain, if listeners remember one thing from today, what would you want it to be? And you've got 20 seconds.
Older people matter. They contribute a lot to our society. We need to value them. Our number is 01709 835 214. Act now and age better.
Thank you so much. This is Mehrbaan Hussain on Care Across Cultures. Until next week, Allah Hafiz.